Thanks for staying with us. Let's get you some city updates from the election fever. In a surprising announcement, the AIADMK has released the list of 160 candidates and its constituencies as well. This effectively shuts the door on MDMK's chances of being in the alliance, since with the 160 seats, the full complement of 234 in the AIADMK alliance has been met. Earlier in the day, sources close to both the AIADMK and the MDMK said efforts were on to convince Vaiko and his party to accept the 13 seats that was offered by the AIADMK. Well, the main city constituencies of Perambur in fact goes to Vetrivel, while Vilivakam has been bagged by JCD Prabhakar. RK Nagar has been handed over to E. Madhusudanan, while Thousand Lights has been bagged by B. Valarmati. Tiruvika Nagar by member Neelakandan, Roypuram over to D. Jayakumar, Ananagar being backed by Gokula Indra. The city suburban area of Velachery sits with M.K. Ashok, the harbour with Para Karupaya, while Mylapore has been handed over to Miss Janaki. Saidapet is going to be contested by Senta Milan, Virugambakam by Kamalakannan, T. Nagar by VP Kalairajan. Joining us with an analysis of what this really entails is our senior correspondent Peer Muhammad, who joins us from our Hindu studios. Peer, have you been able to get reactions at all from the MDMK's camp now that they haven't figured at all in Amma's list? Were they even officially told that this would be the case?
Yes, Evelyn, in fact, the MDMK is prepared for this. We can very well say that the MDMK doesn't want to contest just 13 constituencies offered by the AIADMK when they contested 35 constituencies in the 2006 assembly elections. They have made up their mind not to accept the offer of lesser seats when compared to the previous elections. The AIADMK is also compelled because of various other reasons, like 41 constituencies given to the DMDK, Vijaykanth's DMDK, because Vijaykanth has a better vote share than Vaiko. That is one reason that because of that compulsion, the AIADMK could not cede the seats demanded by the MDMK. And the MDMK was given, offered the seat, and MDMK chief, what we learned from the both the camps is that MDMK chief was given an appointment, but he decided not to come because fighting those lesser number of seats would mean that compromising his dignity. That seems to be the reason for MDMK walking out of the AIADMK-led alliance.
Yeah. Right, Peer. Jayalalitha seems to have shifted base to Srirangam from her former hold of Andipatti. What could be the reason of change this year around?
Yes, I think all the political parties, be it the DMK or the AIADMK, they take the 2009 Lok Sabha election results as the basis for deciding which constituencies to go for and which constituencies to avoid. That seems to be the basic reason for, even for the DMK to let go of Anna Nagar. For example, in 2009 assembly elections, Anna Nagar falls under the central Chennai constituency. But in Anna Nagar alone, the Anna Nagar segment alone, the AIADMK was leading. That is one reason the DMK ceded that constituency to the Congress. And now that many of the city constituencies, considering the factor that in many of the city constituencies the AIADMK was leading, the AIADMK candidates were fielded. In Srirangam, particularly assembly segment, the AIADMK candidate, parliamentary candidate P. Kumar had a lead of over 20,000 votes against his rival Charubala Tondaman from the Congress, which is a clear indication that this particular assembly segment will favor her. And if you look at the Theni Lok Sabha constituency, where from this Andipatti constituency falls under that Theni parliamentary constituency, where many of the segments, the DMK partner, the Congress had the lead, and that Theni constituency, Lok Sabha constituency, elected a Congress candidate, Harun. That is one reason she may have avoided Andipatti and chose this particular Srirangam constituency. Also, if you remember the pre-election rally of the AIDMK, where Jayalalitha remembered that her ancestors were from Srirangam, and in her 28-year-old political career, never before she has seen such a huge crowd in that rally. That is an indication that she feels that she enjoys more support in that particular assembly segment, and that is the reason she has chosen Srirangam, more safe for the leader. Also, like, yeah.
Right. Thanks very much indeed, Peer, for joining us with your updates there. Quite notably, a huge chunk of city constituencies there being backed by the AIADMK, while these were formerly DMK bastions. They've moved to some of the suburbs and others. Now, in a huge disappointment for political parties awaiting the formalization of their election symbols, the Supreme Court today rejected the pleas of the parties in the state, including the DMDK, the VCK and the Pudhiya Tamizhagam, to allot them a symbol for contesting the Tamil Nadu Assembly polls. The Apex Court said that parties could approach the Election Commission on this issue and the court cannot interfere. It also said that these political parties are registered but not recognized as the reason for not having a symbol. Vijay Kant's DMDK had filed a petition for the allotment of the drum, which is what it contested with in the 2006 Assembly polls and the 2009 Lok Sabha elections. Tiruma Valavan's VCK has been eyeing the star symbol for a while now. On to some national updates now. The Chief Minister of Kerala, V.S. Achyutanandan, will not contest the state elections that's scheduled for the 13th of April. Instead, the Communist Party of India, Marxist, which is currently in power in Kerala, has decided that the state's Home Minister and CPM Politburo member, Kodiyeri Balakrishnan, will lead the party in the elections. Mr. Achyutanandan is seen to be more popular among voters than he is within his own party. In the last elections, he contested and won the Malampura Assembly seat in the Palakkad district. Recently, the 87-year-old Chief Minister made it clear that he was willing to stand for elections once again. The party's central leadership had asked the state unit to decide on whether Mr. Achyutanandan should be given a ticket. The CPM in Kerala has seen a bitter battle in the last few years between the Chief Minister and the State Secretary Pinarayi Vijayan. It is also alleged that his hold over the party has been increasing of late. Plenty more news from the different states and the international quarters when we come back on the news tonight.